Tom Dooley is a song that goes back in the tradition of folk music, well, probably 100 years earlier than when the Kingston Trio recorded it and had it on the charts in 1958, 1959. The tune goes back, I think, to a murder incident, or at least a reputed murder incident that goes back to, I think, North Carolina. But nevertheless, it's typical of folk music, taking traditional songs and sort of doing new arrangements. And with the Kingston Trio, the idea was that they were very much, folk music was sort of rejecting showbiz kind of polish and refinement in a certain kind of way. So with folk music, you were supposed to get the idea that anybody could really play these tunes. Get yourself an acoustic guitar and get a couple of people together who wanted to sing, and so do some strumming and singing, and maybe somebody gets a banjo. It's all good. It's all easy. It's music by the people, for the people. But when you listen to the arrangement of Tom Dooley done by the Kingston Trio, and you listen to it carefully, you can see that there's actually an awful lot of professional polish going on in the way they deliver the tune, though it's meant to give us the idea that it's very simple and that it's music fit for any amateur who might want to try it. They deliver a very professional performance. Let me tell you what I mean. The song itself is in simple verse chorus form, meaning they use the same music all the way through, different lyrics for each verse, same lyrics each time the chorus comes around, differing melodies for the verse and the chorus, but the same basic chord pattern and rhythm that goes through the whole thing. Starts out with an introduction, like a lot of folk songs do, sort of setting the song up, maybe telling something about its original sort of social context and that kind of thing. The kind of thing that would go over great in coffee houses where people were sitting around listening to the artists and this sort of an anticipation of what we've later come to think of as a storyteller's kind of concept, except that they're actually sort of beginning the song and telling the story about it. Very entertaining, and it is retained as part of the recording here. The first chorus comes in about 30 seconds into the song, and you get everybody singing together in unison. I mean, they're all basically singing together, singing the same thing. The verse comes in, it's a solo vocal with some backup vocals, and then when they hit the chorus after the first verse, it's in three-part harmony. So it's already a little bit more arranged than it was the first time. Three-part harmony, a little bit more sort of slick and sophisticated. The second verse comes in, the story advances, we get the solo vocal and the background vocals again. But then, when they hit the chorus after the second verse, there's an energetic new song melody that's put against the two-part harmony from before, and so the texture is not only contrasting from what it had been the previous two times when we heard the chorus, but it's also getting a little bit more complicated and contrapuntal. And then, of course, they come back with the third verse, and the last chorus is like the middle one, using three-part harmony vocals. So when you really sort of work your way through all the different things the Kingston Trio do to build up the texture of the song and to change things and do different things when the same thing comes back, this becomes a very complicated and interesting arrangement that nevertheless gives the impression that it's sort of very simple and spontaneous and this kind of thing. So it really is that balance between creating the impression of spontaneity and maybe even amateurism in folk music, populism you might say, and the kind of reality sort of behind the scenes, sort of poking into the workshop, which turns out the music itself is really quite highly rehearsed and arranged in a very sophisticated way.